Welcome to the news on NTA International. My name is Frama Panyi and John Bamidele is the sign language interpreter. We begin with the headlines. President Bola Tinubu appoints new Directors General for the Department of State, DSS and National Intelligence Security, NIA. Latest report by the National Bureau of Statistics on the state of the economy as the country's gross national product, GDP, posted another growth. And Tunisia's president swears in newly appointed ministers of foreign affairs and defense after an abrupt reshufflement in cabinet. And now the news in details. President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of new Directors General for the National Intelligence Agency, NIA, and the Department of State Services, DSS. Ambassador Mohammed is the new Director General of the NIA, and Mr. Adeola Oluwatosin Ajayi is the new Director General of the DSS. Ambassador Mohammed has held an illustrious career in the Foreign Service since joining the NIA in 1995. He had served in various roles, culminating in his promotion to the rank of Director and his subsequent appointment as the head of the Nigerian mission in Libya. The 1990 graduate of Beirut University Kano had served in North Korea, Pakistan, Sudan, and at the State House, Abuja. The new DSS Director General, Mr. Adeola Ajayi, rose through the ranks to attain his current post of Assistant Director General of the service. He had at various times served as State Director in Bauchi, Enugu, Bayelsa, Rivers, and Kogi. The new appointment follows the resignation of the previous NIA and DSS chiefs. The statement by Ajuri Ngelale, Special Advisor to the President, Media and Publicity, says President Tinubu expects that new security chiefs will work assiduously to reposition the two intelligence agencies for better results and charges them to bring their experience to bear in tackling the security challenges bedeviling the country through enhanced collaboration with sister agencies and in surgical alignment with the Office of the National Security Advisor. The President thanks the outgoing Director Generals of the two pivotal intelligence agencies for their services to the nation while wishing them success in their future endeavors. Nigeria's gross domestic product GDP grew by 3.19% year-on-year in real terms of the second quarter of 2024. Figures released Monday morning by the National Bureau of Statistics indicate that the GDP growth was higher than the 2.98% recorded in the first quarter of 2024 and higher than the 2.51% of the second quarter in 2023. The performance of the GDP in the second quarter of the 2024 was driven by the services sector, which recorded a growth of 3.79%. Agriculture sector grew by 1.41%. The industry sector grew by 3.53%, an improvement from minus 1.94 recorded in the second quarter of 2023. In the quarter under review, aggregate GDP at basic price stood at 60,930,058 kobo in nominal terms. This performance is higher when compared to the second quarter of 2023. In the meantime, President Bola Tinubu welcomed the latest report by the National Bureau of Statistics on the state of the economy as the country's gross national product, GDP, posted another growth. According to the NBS, the real GDP grew by 3.2% year-on-year in Q2, higher than the 2.51% recorded in the same period of 2023. A statement by the Presidential Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, indicates that after another report on declining food and headline inflation, this latest report affirms that the economy is on the right trajectory and is indeed on the path to recovery. The reiterates that this government will continue to work assiduously to rekindle Nigerians' hope and confidence, assuring that President Tinubu is working to build a solid and resilient economy. The advisor added that President Tinubu urged Nigerians to retain their faith in the government and not allow themselves to be swayed by naysayers intent in aborting and undermining current reforms for their selfish ends. Now, a partnership between Renewed Hope Initiative, National Population Commission, and United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, is underway to further ramp up birth registration in the country with a commemorative launch of 2024 Civil Registration and Vital Statistics Day. NPC Chairman Nasser Issa Kwara, who disclosed this after leading development to the office of Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, says the commemorative event, scheduled for August 29, 2024, will mark a major leap in government's efforts to offer Nigerian children their first fundamental identity.
First Lady championing this drive. We had a chat with her, and it was a very, very fruitful discussion. And I want to believe that we're going to have a great event ahead of us, and that will mark the full force drive of birth registration to give our children, Nigerian children, first foundational identity and recognition as our children, and have access to government services, especially education and health.
And what is critical is we have been falling short in terms of reaching that obligation. So the Office of the First Lady, through the Renewed Hope Initiative, it's a platform that we are now using to make sure that every child's birth in Nigeria, starting on the 29th, which is basically the D-Day for the commencement of the Renewed Hope Initiative project to accelerate birth registration in all parts of the Federation.
Now, the ever-evolving security threats in Africa requires joint military approach to combat the dynamic security challenges. Now, Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports that National Defense College is developing the capacity of troops to curtail damages during air raids.
Air assets are a critical component of modern warfare due to their speed and precision in attacking the enemy position. It also plays a vital role in evacuation of both military and civilian casualties during combat operations.
The challenges we face in ensuring and guaranteeing civilian protection.
This training of African Union pilots is therefore aimed at strengthening the capacity of personnel on protection of civilians during peace support operations.
Our troops, our soldiers, they are engaging in a asymmetric theater, in a very difficult theater where they don't know who their enemy is. Therefore, there's a likelihood of inadvertently killing or harming civilians. So this kind of training is to ensure that we give them the necessary guidance to ensure that they are better prepared to fighting an enemy that they don't often know, and to take precautions so that they don't intentionally or mistakenly harm or kill civilians.
It is important that we organize trainings of this nature from time to time to remind ourselves that in as much as we're trying to confront an enemy through kinetic means, we must also protect those civilians who are innocent, who need protection from the same groups that do not want us to have peace.
With 30 participants from different regions of the African continent, the training will also ensure enforcement of professional conduct during combat operation. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
And Tunisian President Kais Saied has sworn in newly appointed ministers of Foreign Affairs and Defense after an abrupt reshuffle in which he replaced 19 ministers and 3 state secretaries. Francis Udojo has details.
The appointment of the new ministers comes after Said sacked former Prime Minister Ahmed Hachani in early August, and as the North African country raced for presidential elections on October 6. Said, 66, was democratically elected in 2019 but orchestrated a sweeping power grab in 2021. He is now seeking a second presidential term as part of what he has said was a war of liberation and self-determination aiming to establish a new republic. However, while he is running for office, a number of his political opponents and critics are currently in jail or being prosecuted. Earlier this week, Human Rights Watch (RHW) said Tunisian authorities have prosecuted, convicted, or imprisoned at least 8 prospective candidates for the October vote. Earlier this month, Aber Mausi, an opposition figure who has been in jail since October, was sentenced to 2 years in prison under a false news law, days after she reportedly submitted her presidential candidacy via her lawyers. After jailing dozens of prominent opponents and activists, only 2 candidates, former Member of Parliament Zawher Magzawi, 59, and Azimon leader Ayachi Zamel, were pre-selected to run against Said. So far, 14 presidential hopefuls have been barred from challenging Said after Tunisia's election board said they weren't able to collect enough ballot signatures. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
Now, the Pacific Islands Forum gets underway in Tonga's capital, Nuku'alofa, with leaders hoping to draw global attention to the region's worsening climate plight. Again, Francis Udojo reports that rare fissures have been forming in the 18-member bloc, with Pacific nations torn over China's security ambitions in the region.
With the plan of Pacific leaders to draw global attention to the region's worsening climate plight, the Tuvalu climate minister, Maina Talia, said, and I quote, "We really need to ensure that we continue to push for action from countries that are the most polluting," end of quote. Pacific leaders will mount a renewed push later this week for a homegrown climate adaptation fund, and idea that largely hinges on financial contributions from foreign nations. Report says they will also push to speed the transition away from oil, gas and other highly polluting fuel sources, which the Pacific leaders consider a disaster, leading to losing the capacity to rebuild, to withstand another cyclone or flood recurrence.
We gather at a pivotal time in our region's history. We are at the forefront of the battle against climate change and its impact. We need to take urgent action now for sustainable outcomes into the future.
The transition development is an awkward terrain for forum member Australia, a coal mining superpower, belatedly trying to burnish its green credentials. Australia wants to co-host the COP31 climate conference alongside its neighbors in 2026, but first, it must convince the bloc to be serious about slashing emissions. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres is making a rare appearance at the summit in a trip designed to highlight the Pacific's mirrored climate threats.
Plastic pollution is choking sea life. Greenhouse gases are causing ocean heating, acidification, and a dramatic and accelerating rise in sea levels.
Francis Udojo, NTA News.
Now, flash floods caused by heavy monsoon rains in Thailand have killed 22 people in recent days, disaster officials said on Monday, as they warned of further sudden flooding this week. Thailand's Department of Disaster Prevention and Mitigation, in a statement, said 19 others were injured and more than 30,000 households have been affected in 13 provinces over the past 10 days. Among the deaths were 10 people, including a Russian couple who were killed when a landslide slammed into a residential area on Thailand's popular resort island of Phuket last week. The department also warned about 31 provinces in the kingdom's north and northeast were facing possible flash floods until Thursday. Officials say the department has ordered local authorities to monitor the weather closely and put teams and equipment on standby. While Thailand experiences annual monsoon rain, man-made climate change is causing more intense weather patterns that can make destructive floods more likely. This is the news on NTA International. We will pause here, take a short break, but we will be back shortly.
Relief is coming. More wages, reduced costs. Nigeria's national minimum wage is now 70,000 naira and it will be reviewed every 3 years. The federal government will commence immediate implementation and state governments are being encouraged to follow suit. With the presidential CNG initiative, transport costs are coming down. Are you a car owner or a transporter? Visit www.pci.gov.ng to find out how you can benefit from switching to CNG. This is the renewed hope.
This season, enjoy all the better moments with GoTV. Your football party GoTV, they give you better deal of decoder plus GoTenna for only 19,900 naira. Make you enjoy correct football action live on Top Super Sport. GoTV, love it.
Welcome back. And talking agriculture now, anxiety is mounting among some farming communities in Kano State following recent flooding wreaking havoc, which is posing dangers to bumper harvest. Yahanusu Hassan Barrow, who visited affected communities in Dawakin Tofa and Tofa local government areas, reports that urgent action needs to be in place to mitigate the impacts of the flooding to avoid future occurrence.
Farmers in Dawakin Tofa and Tofa local government areas of Kano State are reeling from the devastating impact of flooding, which has ravaged their farmlands and resulted in losses worth millions of naira. This is not an isolated incident, as the communities have been battling with flood every rainy season for years. As the lodge has dashed hopes of a bumper harvest, leaving farmers like Ibrahim in a state of despair, having invested his life savings in his farm. Ibrahim is now faced with the daunting prospect of feeding his family.
We were in the farm working. We just saw rain coming, water coming out, flowing from the west. There was a river behind it, so it overflowed all the farm. We have to leave it. There was nothing we can do during that time. The only thing you can see is just to see water.
The calamity was triggered by the overflow of a nearby dam and its tributaries in Bagwai and River Watari. Records indicate that hundreds of farmlands have been washed away, with crops like maize, rice, and tomatoes destroyed.
Now it happens. One, we don't even have anything. Second, we don't have the capital even to do irrigation farming.
The affected farmers are in a state of confusion, appealing to the federal and Kano state government to take immediate action to mitigate the effects of the flood and prevent future occurrences. In Kano, Yahanasa Hassan Barrow, NTA News.
The National Association of Resident Doctors has commenced a 7-day warning strike nationwide. NARD President Dr. Dele Abdullahi, who said the decision was made during the virtual Emergency National Executive Council meeting held on Sunday, August 25, and noted that the strike, which will last 1 week, will be total. The resident doctors' strike is to clamor for the release of their kidnapped colleague, Dr. Ganiat Popoala, who has been in captivity for over 8 months. Dr. Ganiat Popoala, a registrar in the Department of Ophthalmology at the National Eye Center, Kaduna, was abducted nearly 8 months ago along with her husband and nephew. While her husband was released in March, Popoala and her nephew remain in captivity. Oshun has recorded a new confirmed case of mpox in Ilesha West local government area of the state. Correspondent Femi Afari-Ogun reports that the state government has activated incident management system to curtail the spread of the virus.
The new confirmed case of mpox on a 25-year-old male will be the second case from Ilesha West local government area of Osun State this year alone, as a case was recorded there in March. The two cases have triggered the state government to activate incident management system, a coordinated effort involving multiple agencies to control the outbreak, overseeing public health measures.
had symptoms for 3 weeks, only presented on the 19th. So the patient's condition had greatly improved. I don't entertain any fear whatsoever. COVID-19 came, combated it successfully.
The team says it will ensure contact tracing and engage in public enlightenment on the preventive measures against the new variant of Mpox.
I think it's time we also prompt the tertiary institutions so that as they see cases, we are well notified at the state level.
Please don't let us rest on our house as soon as to ensure that we maintain the tempo.
Osun State so far this year has recorded 47 suspected cases of Mpox, with 45 coming out negative and 2 confirmed cases. In Oshogbo Femi Afariogun, NTA News.
Talking security now, the Commissioner of Police in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, Bennett Igwe, has expressed dissatisfaction over the attack on personnel of the command, which claimed the lives of 2 officers. It was reported that a riot erupted in the nation's capital on Sunday when members of the El Zazaki movement, popularly known as Shiites, clashed with operatives of the FCT command during a procession. At least 6 persons, including 2 police officers, were gruesomely murdered when the proscribed Islamic group launched an attack on a police checkpoint at Wuse Junction. Now, with a target to achieving 6,000 megawatts of electricity supply this year, federal government says all challenges are being addressed for its power plant across the country to generate at full capacity. New Managing Director of Niger Delta Power Holding Company, Jennifer Adije, says with the renewed vigor of the present administration to ensure energy efficiency, national integrated power plants are capable to deliver 6,000 megawatts of electricity. Already, federal government has commenced payment of debt-owned gas companies to ensure availability of gas to power. The new managing director who assumes office is optimistic that the current improvement in power supply will be sustained.
With a mandate to providing affordable electricity to areas not covered by the national grid, as well as unserved and underserved communities, rural electrification agency says it is sustaining trajectory to light up communities. A scorecard of the agency's performance in 2023 shows that more than 330 kilowatt peak of mini grids have been deployed across the country, with 2,631 solar home system units delivered to communities across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country.
We have secured additional funding of $750 million to start the implementation of the DES project. The DES project is the biggest public sector funded project in the off-grid public sector funded project in the entire world. And the target of that project is to electrify 17.5 million Nigerians.
Also, 18,300 solar street lights have been installed nationwide, covering a distance of more than 500 kilometers. Through its intervention of energizing agriculture and boost irrigation, the Rural Electrification Agency in 2023 deployed 1,668 solar water pumps, impacting 24,000 hectares of farmland. Projecting into the future, the agency is poised to drive federal government policy for 30% energy mix, thereby increasing access to electricity through renewables. Joshua Ojitu, NTA News.
And up next is Sports Updates with Suleiman Musa.
We begin with football. Following their qualification into the next round of the CAF Champions League, Nigerian champions Rangers International are looking forward to playing at their home turf anytime soon. Rangers have adopted the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium, Uyo, as their home ground for continental matches, but Rangers midfielder Chune Merem insists the feeling is never the same.
Rangers have played about up to 3 seasons, like almost 3 seasons, away from home, playing at Oka, and yet we are still in the league, and we were able to conquer
Meanwhile, after emerging Wafubi champions and made history by qualifying for the 2024 CAF Women Champions League for the first time ever, Edo Queens on Sunday landed in Nigeria. The reigning NWFL Premiership champions returned with pride after a stellar performance, bringing glory to Nigerian football. Edo Queens defeated Benin side Ainon VFC 3-0 in the final to become the third Nigerian club to win the competition. The tournament is scheduled to take place later in the year. In tennis, the World Table Tennis Tournament WTT has fined Nigeria's Aruna Kadri $5,000 for missing 2 WTT tournaments. Aruna participated at the World Team Championships in February this year and the WTT Champions event in March, citing diarrhea and club commitments. However, Aruna has approached the ITTF tribunal after being fined, claiming his actions is not intentional. And finally, handicap 13 player Shola Adebayo has emerged overall winner of the 2024 IBB Captains Inaugural Tournament, which ended Sunday at the IBB International Golf and Country Club Abuja. Adebayo grew 76 with a net score of 63 to outplay a field of over 400 golfers to emerge champion.
All I would say is that you just need to be calm and take whatever comes your way. Play more golf and then you can emerge a winner.
The main thing that we promise is that we are going to really rejuvenate the course to its international status.
The tournament is organized to officially usher in the new escorts of the club under the leadership of Ibrahim Babayo for a 1-year tenure. With Sport Update, Suleiman Musa, NTA News.
And up next, weather forecast. That concludes the news on NTA International. My name is Frama Panyi and John Bamidele has been the sign language interpreter. Thanks for your time.